Life doesn't come with a reset button, but sometimes it rewires us completely. I'm Rob, survivor, storyteller, and advocate. This channel is where pain meets purpose, where voices like mine and yours gets amplified.
I'm Ashley, an advocate living with post-concussive syndrome and co-host of Life Rewired podcast. Whether you're one of us or standing with us, today's episode is all about brain injury awareness, and it all begins in just 30 seconds.
Love and laughter lead the way through the darkest, hardest days. Hope still burns, it won't retire. This is me, my life rewired. I was broken, now I'm whole. Wrote new chapters for my soul. Not the end, just re-inspired. This is me, my life rewired.
Brain injury awareness isn't just a buzzword or some ribbon campaign for folks like us. Awareness of what turns the invisibility into visibility. It's what stops people from mistaking still silence for wellness. But just because we look normal on the outside doesn't mean everything's working fine on the inside. You can smile, hold conversations, even show up for work, and still be battling brain fog, sensory overload, or memory lapses nobody else can see.
Exactly. Before my injury, I thought I understood. I didn't. I didn't know how invalidating I could feel when people say, "You look fine." But inside, I'm fighting an internal battle with a dozen tabs open in my brain.
Awareness bridges that gap. It's what turns judgment into empathy. It helps someone realize you're not lazy, you're just rewiring everything from sleep to speech.
When the people in our lives and the public understand, we get real support and understanding.
We get to be honest about our challenges and still be seen as whole human beings. That's why we push for awareness, because survivors deserve connection, not correction.
So, if you're listening, whether you're a survivor or an ally, keep sharing, keep asking, keep learning, because we don't have to be invisible. Awareness invites healing.
And if no one's told you today, you're not imagining it. You're not alone. You're absolutely worthy of love and understanding.
We see you, we hear you, and we're rewired, but never retired.
One of the things that we're going to talk about is that invisibility is not imaginary. Brain injuries are often hidden. Awareness helps validate what survivors feel, even when the symptoms aren't seen. For example, cognitive thinking. And a good example like that would be ordering at a restaurant. The waiter will come up to you, they'll joke around with you, have a conversation with you, and after a bit, that will cause me to lose focus. But I do love it when they do this because it does make the experience more personable. The downside to that is that they don't have any idea that there's anything wrong with you. And then when they ask you, what do you want to eat? And then you're suddenly searching for the words to say what it is that you're wanting to eat. You're wanting to say steak. And you're going, the cow. And all of a sudden, the waiter's looking at you like you have horns on your head. Like, what in the world are you talking about? That's when my wife steps in and she'll say, oh, he wants a steak. Then I feel like I have to explain, oh, see, I've got a brain injury, and that's why I'm having a hard time finding the words that I want to say. And that does change the awkwardness of it, and it makes it the waiter go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, 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 no. You don't have to apologize. You did know. Please do not apologize. It's not your burden to carry, but it is on me to tell you why I'm acting like I'm acting, so you don't think I'm drunk. And as a matter of fact, I had a situation just this morning. I had to do my blood work for my every 6 months that I do for my doctor. And the lady that was registering me, she says, "What's your date of birth?" And I'm just kind of stared at her, and I'm like, I froze. And she says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I have a brain injury," and I started to go into the reasons why. And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry." She goes, and I said, "No, no, 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 no. Don't apologize. Please don't." So she looked at her screen and she goes, "Well, it's in February." And that was enough to jog my memory. I was like, "Oh, yeah, February 1 6." And after that, the whole dynamic changed again. And she was actually helping me out for the entire registration process. And she just knows, well, she knew, I should say, she knew that I needed just a little bit of a push. So that helped me, yeah. That brings us to our second point. Looking
Yes.
normal isn't healing. Just because someone looks fine doesn't mean that they're functioning fine. Awareness breaks that false link between appearance and wellness, just like this morning with that lady.
Well, also, too, with the post concussive syndrome, it's for people that experience symptoms after the 6 month mark. And they also don't know like how long you're going to experience it for, if it's going to be lifelong or not. And I mean, I'm going to be 10 years out in February. So, definitely just because, this happened 10 years ago almost doesn't mean that I'm fully recovered.
Absolutely.
Um, that segues into support starts with understanding. Without awareness, there is misunderstanding. With it, survivors get empathy, not judgment, and access to proper resources. Do you feel like a lot of people don't understand brain injuries, Rob?
I do feel like that. The people that once they're educated, it does change the dynamic, just like I was telling you earlier. But yeah, it goes back to what we were shown as a society. They don't talk about brain injury awareness in schools, not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, people like our very own Don Corbelli, her and her daughter Veronica, they go to schools and they educate people like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not something they talking about a lot in school. So yeah, the education that people are getting, sadly, it's from sitcoms and movies, which
Absolutely.
basically just kind of make fun of the situation. It doesn't really show the true impact of what our lives are like, or really like, I should say. It's another great example of why importance of
Mm-hmm.
why awareness is important.
Right. And that's why I would encourage people who haven't watched some of our previous episodes on famous people with brain injuries, memory issues, anxiety, what not to say to a person with a brain injury, all those subtopics, or even the people we've interviewed with brain injuries, like Jason Lawley, Dawn Corbelli, Jocelyn. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your last name. Their individual stories. I encourage you to go back because that's really another way of making yourself aware. You don't have to sit down and read a textbook on it. You could be in a class like the Corbellis are doing, or, watch the videos on YouTube that we have, or I go to the brain injury conference every year down in Philadelphia, thanks to University of Pennsylvania. So there are definitely resources out there.
You mentioning the what not to say, that just jogged my memory because I just did an interview with a guy and just a couple of days ago, and before we began, he says, "Oh, you look great, and you would never know that you have a brain injury."
Mm-hmm.
Da 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 da. Camera goes on, and he starts talking and asking me about that, and why is it important for me to share my story with everyone? And whenever I said, "Well, you don't realize how insulting it is to say to someone you look fine," that just totally diminishes what a brain injury is like. And it's really insulting to the person that is living with the injury. You could have knocked him over with a feather. And he just started apologizing to me, and I'm like, you didn't know. And I told him, I said, think of it like this. Years ago, when we saw a short person, we would use that M word.
Well,
We didn't realize how demeaning it was. But now we're aware, and now we make a conscious effort to not use those
yes,
words that are offensive.
offensive to their community. Yes.
Right. Because it's not like you see it in the movies. Think
Mm-hmm.
about every time in the movies you see or a TV show. What do? They put the person that's portraying the brain injury.
Right. Well, the thing is, too, Rob, like, what is a brain injury supposed to look like? That's what I want to know when people say, oh, you look fine. You don't look like you have a brain injury. Like, am I supposed to be having, like, slurred speech and, like physical hallmarks of a brain injury. Like,
They put the person that's portraying the brain injury, they'll have an ice pack on their head, or they'll have their head wrapped the whole time and in a bandage or something, or they have amnesia. And that's not a brain injury. I mean, let's just get real. I did not come home with my head wrapped up in a bandage when I had my
mhm.
brain injury. So you're exactly right. What does it look like? This
Yeah, same here.
this is what a brain injury looks like.
Yeah. Isolation shrinks, community grows. Awareness brings people together. It helps survivors feel less alone and builds bridges between survivors, caregivers, professionals, and allies. I know when I first got my concussion, I felt a very alone in the process, even though I had my parents helping me out. People don't necessarily know how to respond. And with the concussion clinic, granted, I went to physical therapy and occupational therapy, but I mean, I wasn't allowed to drive. I wasn't able to watch TV or read books. I had horrible insomnia because my days and nights were mixed up. I mean, I joked that I was living like a vampire in the dark for a couple months because that's how light sensitive I was. So it really affected my mood and got me depressed. And I'll remember something my mom told me as advice is just take it one day at a time, but look at it as your job to get better. Like, don't focus on the fact that you have this going on, focus on getting better, because I was so anxious to like get back to like a normal life and have my independence back. So that definitely, helped turn things around.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. It isn't our job to look in the rearview mirror. I think Steve Cowherd, I think, said, I don't remember if we've had him on the program or not, but we're going to have him on here really soon.
Okay.
But he always has this famous thing that he says is how we get so focused on looking in that rearview mirror and seeing what's behind us. The person that's back there is not back there anymore.
Yes.
So why do we keep looking?
That's like my dad's motto too with us growing up. And we would hate to hear it, but now as an adult and not a child/teenager, I really do appreciate it more.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense, you know? And if you're focused on that rearview mirror, you're just going to run off the road. The rearview mirror can be there as a reminder where we came from, not where we need to be.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a great thing. Your dad is a very wise person.
Top 10% of his class. Sorry, Dad. I know you're so humble.
Survivors deserve to be seen, heard, and loved. Awareness is it's about dignity. It's the foundation that lets survivors live authentically, not perform wellness for others. Comfort. You should never ever have to put a not on a program, but
A front?
a front. Yes, thank you, Ashley. That's what it's so great to have community because we're here to help each other. Because we should
Mhm.
never have to put on a front for someone else's benefit. You wouldn't go to someone that's dying of cancer and expect them to jump out of bed and look great, so you feel better about yourself. You should never have to ask that of us, that of someone that's got a brain injury. You know, we have good days and we have bad days. We have great days and we have some days that we just don't want to see you. And I'm sorry to put that out there like that, but that's just the nature of the beast.
I want to circle back quickly to spoon theory. A couple weeks ago, we went to my cousin's wedding, and me, my husband, and my parents were the first people to leave. And I know everybody was kind of surprised we were headed out so early. But the thing is, I was out of spoons, and Zach wasn't feeling great either. Sorry, Zach. But I don't feel the need to sit there and say, well, I have a brain injury, so I don't have the capacity, to be out like a college student from like, 2 to midnight. I just, we're headed out. goodbye, good seeing you. I don't feel the need to explain myself. If you want to follow up with me the next day, I mean, nobody did, but I mean, if it bothers you that much, just, follow up with me the next day and we can have a one on one conversation. But I don't want to be a walking public service announcement in a public setting that's supposed to be a celebration of a couple's wedding and be like, well, I have to go now because I have a brain injury. I just want to be able to go.
Right. And you shouldn't have to do that. People in your inner circle, they should know. The people that don't understand, they can find out later, like you said. And even if they don't find out really at the end of the day, it
Right.
doesn't really matter because it's all about your health
Hmm.
and your well-being. You wouldn't expect someone in a wheelchair to have to be at the end of the line and wait for everyone else to, clear out so they can go. It's a thing of respect, and it's helping each other out. It's that community that we keep talking about,
Yeah. And they don't have to announce, I'm in a wheelchair, so I need to go first.
right? Yeah. We would never expect someone in a wheelchair to say, well, it's for my safety, it's better if I go out the door first. We wouldn't even think twice about that. People would be
Right.
holding the door open for you, and that's the way it should be.
Hmm.
This has been a great conversation, Ashley, and we're going to continue.
Yeah, we're going to continue it in part 2.
Yeah, so this has been great. We had a great conversation today. We're going to spill this over into the next episode. So please stay tuned for the next episode. And Ashley, do your job.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Rob. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
This is me, my life rewired.